Yo, how's it going? I'm going on a little ride right now. I'm in Baltimore City. It's a pretty crap day outside. The weather has been just horrible because of this hurricane. And that is how you know when you're talking to someone in real life that you guys have nothing in common. You have nothing to say to each other. You're just trying to make small talk, is when you start off talking about the weather. Now, that is not the case here today. I was just observing, okay? I'm in real time talking about the weather. I don't see you in the office, I'm not going, oh, the weather, blah, blah, blah. Or see you in a Chipotle and you're standing there awkwardly. You made eye contact maybe, and you're like, oh, the weather. That's how you know you have nothing to say. Or that's how you know when, like, you see an old friend or something and you guys just don't have anything in common. You immediately start talking about the weather. But I'm here to I'll take some water. This is pre-workout water. I mean, there's remnants of pre-workout in it. It's also been sitting in my car. It's just been marinating. Kind of tastes good though. But anyway, this one's for all the musicians out there. And I'm going to be talking a little bit, giving my thoughts on like all these recent lip-syncing backing track accusations. And when I say recent, it's not recent at all. Because in like the early 90s, I think, maybe the late 80s, like there was someone named Milli Vanilli who got caught with it and ended their career. Now, I could not even name a song by them, but apparently they were pretty big at the time. And there was like these two handsome lads who were doing the lip syncing, and it turns out it wasn't even them at all. So that's a bit of an extreme example. But I think that's probably historically the first time when people really were like, oh, this is crap. So, like, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I really want to talk, like, why are we playing the tracks now? Why are we lip syncing? Should we be? And I'll kind of go into my thoughts on that. So, recently, 3 examples pop out in my head. Ken Tamplin, who's a very famous vocal coach, the most famous vocal coach, I would argue, on the internet, that at least to my knowledge. There's probably someone more popular. At least in like the rock sphere, he's got to be the most popular. You have Frankie Valli. You know, he was in a band called the Four Seasons, or really more like a vocal group, I guess, called the Four Seasons in like the 60s, 70s, I guess. He's a legend. He's a legend. And then you have Sabrina Carpenter has been accused of it. Right? And if you don't know who she is, she's a new pop artist. Very popular, very talented young lady. I say that, but she's definitely older than I am, right? She's got to be. So, back in the, like, 80s and 90s, I can think of a few examples of rock bands, like, being forced to play the backing tracks on TV shows. Now, like, you used to have those TV shows, like Top of the Pops or whatever. Like I said, I wasn't around back then, so I don't really know exactly how it worked, but this is just an observation. Like, the artist would play to a track, maybe the singer would be live. I think sometimes it would be live, but I think that's probably the first time you had people miming, right? And then, by the way, if the audio is poor, I don't have a mic right now. And that just happened. So, like, you have, like, there's that famous video of Iron Maiden. They were forced to lip sync, so they started switching their instruments around and just playing just nonsense, like making it obvious they were lip syncing because they clearly didn't want to. Then you had Nirvana, which was obviously the 90s. They did the same thing basically. They were like anti everything, but obviously they didn't want to lip sync because, you know, back then, I can't really tell you what was going on in their heads. I guess it was just an integrity thing. They didn't want to do that. I guess maybe the logic is like, look, we can play. Why are we lip syncing? Also, like, why are we gonna fake something that we can actually do? And that's what I want to talk about. And let me go through some examples. Like Ken Tamplin. I don't really know if he was, to be honest. I watched the guy Wings of Pegasus, who's got a great channel. And he broke it down, and he made a damn good case. And I don't really know how much more analysis you would really want on that, but he really dove deep, and he clearly knows his stuff, that guy. And I don't know if I watch all his videos, but he's like, yeah, he's definitely reusing tracks in an acoustic video, and it's like the same as a recent live performance. And a lot of people have made videos about this, because especially probably like 8 years ago, Ken Tamplin was even more popular. Like, I remember when I was trying to learn how to sing, I would always refer to Ken Tamplin. And he's, regardless of his, if he was using backing tracks, he's an amazing singer, right? That much I know. He's not faking his voice. He actually is an amazing singer. Now, the integrity of a vocal coach who's saying is, the proof is in the singing, for him to be lip syncing stuff, I can understand why this is going to upset some people. He's got a lot of really good covers on YouTube, and if he's not doing it in one take and he's using tracks, that can be misleading. Now, Ken says he wasn't, and then in the video he proves that he can still sing, which I don't think anyone's really doubting Ken's ability. So that's one example, right? And everyone should also watch these things and make up their own mind on what they think is happening. And Ken Tamplin, to his credit, said that, and I definitely agree with him on that. And Ken seems like a decent enough dude. I don't know. It's a confusing scenario. And then like another one, you have Motley Crue. There's a lot of videos of Nikki Sixx strumming bass, and then he lifts his hands up and there's still bass going. Tommy Lee doing the same thing on the drums. Vince Neil is definitely not using backing tracks. That has been very obvious. I'm not going to comment and make fun of him, because I don't really know what the situation with his vocals are, but it's pretty well documented. The guy's got vocal problems. And then the same thing with Kiss, but except more so the vocals. Like, I know people really thought Paul Stanley was lip syncing. Now, I saw them live back in 2019. I couldn't tell you if he was or not. It was a fun show regardless. But let's just say he hypothetically is, right? Wow. Way to ruin my video, ambulance. But anyway, I hope everyone's okay. So anyway, we're just talking shop here, right? Motley Crue and Kiss are not the greatest musicians in the world. That doesn't mean they can't play, though. The guys can definitely play their instruments. Not saying they're world class, not saying they're top notch, best of the best at what they do. But they can play their instruments, man. Like, they come from a time where you had to. Like, there was no faking it, because on analog recordings, you had to record live, pretty much, a lot of it. Like, once again, I wasn't around back then. I can't tell you exactly how it worked. And then let's go to Frankie Valli, arguably one of the best singers ever, right? One of the most iconic. Not from this generation, but from the boomer generation, maybe even the silent generation. He was an iconic voice. He had a musical written about him. Very famous, well, probably one of the most famous musicals ever, Jersey Boys, right? And then, he's 90 now on stage, and everyone's accusing him of using backing tracks. Like I said, I only saw a clip, and it definitely seemed like he was at least not the only singer. And he's just looking frail, and he's 90. The guy's 90. Like, come on. Like, and then people are kind of like, why is he doing this? Does he need the money? Like, what is someone committing elders abuse? Which that, not gonna lie, that kind of seems like that might be a bit of a stretch. I don't know. And he made a response about it saying, oh, I'm singing, I have a lot of people on stage singing with me. I'm having a good time, whatever. Let's just hypothetically say that he's telling the truth about that. And I did not actually see any of the Sabrina Carpenter stuff. But I was actually having a conversation about this with my girlfriend, who's also a singer. And like, yes, she's got a great voice. So here's the question. Why are they doing this? Both lip syncing and backing tracks. Well, my first reaction is it's not because they can't sing. It's because of the internet. Every concert you go to, someone's filming the entire set. I don't know who. I don't know why they're doing that. Like, why wouldn't you want to just live in the moment? But they're filming the entire set. So if you're a big enough artist, every single song you perform live to a public audience is being recorded and put on YouTube. So if you have a vocal flub, people are gonna start talking about that and start talking bad about you. All right. And let's say for someone like Ken Tamplin, if he posts a live video and he messes up, people are going to talk bad about him. And let's say hypothetically Ken Tamplin's lip syncing. Let's say that he doesn't think anyone's going to notice, right? Apparently people did. Like I said, I don't know if he was. I'm just saying hypothetically if he was lip syncing. Okay, Motley Crue and Kiss and guys like that, and a lot of bands use tracks now. A lot of, and I'm not trying to sound like that rocker guy who's like, fuck pop music. I'm talking everybody here, every genre. Why are we doing every pop genre? So when I say pop, I mean popular music, pop, country, most rock, even a lot of metal. Let's be real here. Metal has gotten way popular compared to what it was like 30 years ago, or like 40 years ago when it started out, whatever. So my question to all these people using track, and I've never used a track. I'm not trying to get on a high horse. I've never done it. I've never even used in-ear monitors. Now, granted, I'm not even in the same stratosphere as these artists. But local bands do it too, to chunk up their sound. Maybe they don't have a bass player. I've seen that countless times. They use tracks. Now, what ends up happening is because you're on a bill with a lot of bands, and the sound guy is just, he's not your sound guy. He's just there for the night. Some of them may not want to do all this work. I was playing at the Delancey in New York City once, and we were with this other band, and they were telling the sound guy, like, oh, we want this and this and this in our mic. We have these laptops we want to use. And the sound guy was like, I heard him say, you guys know, like, we're like a small bar, right? Like, and in those guys' defense, they just want to put on the best performance they can. They want to give the audience what they think is the best. So it doesn't matter to them that they're in a football stadium or if they're in a small bar in New York City. They want to put on the best show they can. And, but when you're playing these rooms, like we all know that you're not all playing, which is fine. And there's a lot of older bands that use tracks too. Two that come to mind is Metallica. They always, all their songs that have acoustic long intros, Battery, Fight Fire with Fire, they're using tracks, and then they go into it and they start playing the song actually, and they're definitely using clicks in their ears. I'm not talking about that. That is different. That's what, if you want to use a click, whatever. If you think that's going to make you better at performance, sure. Black Label Society, they're another band that's just the same thing. If their songs have like an acoustic or a weird intro, they'll play it through the speakers. They might retune the intro to whatever tuning they're doing the song in. Let's say they're doing it lower than they used to, they'll retune it. and then they'll bust into it when the song really kicks in, right? Now, something to point out is a lot of these older bands, like I said, Iron Maiden, Nirvana, let's use those guys as examples here, because we were talking about them. They had to record completely analog. There was not even Pro Tools when their most iconic things came out. So what does that mean? And like I said, I wasn't there back then, so this is kind of my own speculation. They had to perfect what they were playing. Okay? So when they were in the studio, they had to get it like spot on to an extent. I don't know. They or else you had to buy more tape. There's only so much tape. Right? And then you had to cut off tape. Like I said, I wasn't there. But I'll be real with you guys, like, the studio is a different game now. You can make comps. I can play 30 guitar solos and take a second of each part. Let's say it's a 30-second long guitar solo. I can take something from each of those 30 takes if I want to. Now, people used to do that back then too. Like, you would hear David Gilmour. I know Eddie Van Halen. A lot of his stuff is kind of pieced together. But now we can do it like this. Just like that. Oh, I played keyboard. I played the wrong note. Oh, your keyboard's MIDI? Cool, let's drag that note to the right note. Problem is solved. Oh man, the drummer's off time. Let's quantize it. Oh, my vocals are a little out. Let's auto-tune it. Right? And you can do all that like with the snap of a finger. If you have a good engineer nowadays, he can make... People can really polish turds now. Now, you can only polish a turd so much, right? You know, that's going to show through. If you're a good band, you're going to sound good even without all those polishing aspects, right? If you sound bad and you're not that great at whatever it is you're doing, you're not well rehearsed, and your stuff's not going to be that good, even despite auto-tuning, quantizing, and pitch correction, and, you know, comping. This is what it is. I'm telling the truth. So, my question to, like, all these people using tracks is, are we that scared of messing up? Are we that scared of internet trolls that we're going to want to lip sync so that we don't have videos on the internet of, like, us messing up? My answer is, honestly, screw it, dude. Like, if you mess up, it's what it is. And I'll be honest now, like, we should be even better now than those old pop artists and those old rock bands. We should be smoking them live. In the era we live in, we can figure out anything on YouTube. Or even on TikTok now, you can figure things out, I'm sure. Bands now should be so damn tight. Yeah, and, you know, if you mess up live, go practice that part. Maybe change it around. You know, God knows when I started singing, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Now, I'm not claiming that I'm the best singer in the entire world, but I got a lot better. I took lessons, and I still mess up. I probably mess up once a night, at least. And that's on a good night. But you know what? Does the audience notice? If it's a bad enough mess up, they'll notice, sure. Is it going to ruin the show for them? I don't think it will. I really don't think it will. If it's another singer in the audience, they'll probably notice every mess up you do. But is that who we're playing to? Are we trying to play to other musicians, or are we trying to make music for people who enjoy music, which is 95% of the population, at least enjoy music in some way, shape, or form, right? I met one person in my entire life that says, I remember I was in like middle school or something. He said, I don't really like music. Like I said, that's middle school. He probably changed his mind on that by now. So, I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say here is, don't be afraid to mess up. and this is really more geared towards lip syncing. The backing track thing, I get it. You want to have a bigger sound live. You're still playing your instruments. That's personally not my style. I really like a raw performance, personally. I like when the tempos move up and down. I like you're playing a song live. Maybe it's a little faster because you guys are pumped up on energy. I like that stuff. And I'll be real with you, man. Like, all my favorite bands I've seen live are completely there. They're not using tracks. They're raw. They're in the moment. That's also my personal taste. Now, that being said, there are bands I've seen that have used tracks live that I really enjoyed, and I thought they sounded great. But a lot of times I see it, and it's a lot of technical difficulties, and that's at a smaller level, right? I also want to ask someone this. How much do people, and this is more, if anyone's watching this, comment what you think. Do you want to hear the song exactly how it is on the studio recording? Now, I've met people that do. I personally don't care. I like different renditions live. Like I said, I like the energy. I like, if the singer swaps out a note because he's getting tired, he's got to sing a little lower or differently. Hey, screw it, man. They're in the moment. They're doing their thing. Also, you know how hard it is to tour and sing night after night after night? I got news for you, man. When you're on tour, you're traveling. You're probably not getting good sleep. You're not eating healthy, usually, unless you're at a top level. But even a lot of our favorite bands now, dude, they're traveling in vans. Okay, if you're fans of smaller indie artists, they're not always in a... And even on a tour bus, I can't imagine that tour buses are very comfortable. If you're in a fucking van, dude... Sorry, I didn't mean to curse. You're not getting good sleep. You're eating at McDonald's because you're not making that much money. It depends on tickets sold and merch sold. So let's all do our part in discussing this and what we think in a respectful manner. I'm not putting anyone down. I'm not putting down any of those artists I named. I'm just discussing. What do you guys think? Do you think is the way to go about in the future? Do you think we should all be doing it completely raw? Is any of this considered cheating? Is lip syncing cheating? Is backing tracks cheating? I don't know. I don't have the answer. All I know is my opinion, which isn't even what this is about. This is about us as a community of musicians and as music fans growing, right? Musicians, you're nothing without the fans of music. And fans of music, you don't have musicians, you got nothing to listen to. So, I want to hear some comments. What do you all think? So, yeah. Other than that, for me, I haven't been making a lot of content recently on this channel. I've been doing a lot of podcasts on the Kruiser channel. We got a show coming up. We have a new single well, I'm not going to say that, but we have a new single coming out October 29th. It's called Animosity. I'm really excited for you guys to hear that. And yeah, have a great rest of your day, bro.